What is good, all of our listeners? Welcome to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
I'm Liz.
And we're still trying to figure out YouTube.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, if you're listening to us on the audio version, we are now on YouTube. We are filming all the podcasts, putting them up on YouTube, as well as giving you commentary videos, let's plays. But guess what? YouTube, you're confusing sometimes.
Just a little.
Just a little. But that's the thing. We're pretty much putting up a ton of content on YouTube and just trying to find out what sticks, what people enjoy. But we're using a tool called vidIQ to understand the dynamics and what keywords you use. And some days the videos are up ranked high, and then the very next hour, done. I was like, okay, that's cool. Thanks, YouTube. But we're slowly trying to figure it out. If you haven't already, definitely hit that subscribe button, because this is the weekly podcast. You get this podcast every single Monday, rain or shine. But yeah, let's talk about Liz. Liz, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How well? How super are you?
How super am I?
Super.
I don't think I'm super anything.
You're a super wife.
Aww.
Bang.
I got a super headache.
Dang. There you go.
That's why I have soda.
Soda.
It's Coke Zero. Don't worry. I'm healthy.
I actually haven't poured my tea yet, so you're going to hear that in the audio. So, probably. Actually, that's a pretty quiet tea pour. Good for me.
Good job.
So,
go us.
Without further ado, let's just get this podcast started. But before we get to our first section, let's just do some quick announcements. First off, you can find us on social medias. As you saw and you see in every single screen that you see in this podcast on YouTube, you'll see our Twitter handles. Mine will be right here. Liz's will be right there. But you can follow the official Twitter account for the podcast at Gaming Groceries, or follow us on Twitter. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
So you can follow us there, be friends with us, be friends with the podcast, and just start a conversation. You can also follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where you get behind the scenes photos of the podcast, updates about the podcast, and simple gaming memes here and there. You can also follow us on our website. You can't really follow us there, but check out our website. You can listen to all the podcasts from the website, as well as find out where you can find the audio version of our podcast. We're on 14 or 15 different platforms.
We're on a lot of them. You name it, we're probably on it.
Except for Pandora. They never got back to me.
Pandora.
So, how you doing, Pandora? You want to put on a good podcast? Check us out.
Oh, geez.
So, check out our website. I'm going to get back to writing articles probably in the fall. Mm-hmm. Summer has gotten so busy for us.
I don't know what happened this summer.
Well, it's just because summer for youth ministry, if you didn't know, youth pastor, but summer for youth ministry is just the busiest time. Apparently the dog is eating something.
The dog is eating a tissue.
Where do you get a tissue?
I don't know.
So let me explain. Youth ministry is a little busy. Plus, we're just starting this YouTube channel, so we're really just trying to figure out upload schedules and let's plays and commentary videos. So it's gotten pretty hectic. So once we figure everything out, once things die down more, you can expect more articles. But the articles I have written are still on the website, gamesandgroceries.com. So definitely check that out. Definitely rate and review us. If you're listening to us on the audio version, rate and review us on iTunes, wherever you can rate and review podcasts. Give us your honest star ratings. Your honest star ratings. We're not asking for only 5 stars. Your honest star ratings, as well as your honest reviews. And if you would like me to read your reviews on the podcast, you can email us, contact@gamesandgroceries.com, where you can ask, hey, Adam, can you read this can you read this review for your podcast? Can you do it in this voice? Can you do it in your radio voice? And I will read it in this voice. So, without further ado, one last bit of announcement. Again, we're on YouTube now. So if you're watching us on YouTube, definitely hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you can be alerted whenever the podcast comes up, whenever new videos come up, as well as like this video. If you hit the like, that tells YouTube oh, people actually enjoy this video. Maybe we should spread it around. So hit that like if you enjoy this podcast, as well as comment down below. What did you think about the podcast? So as we go along, write some comments in the comments down below. So without further ado, let's just get right into the meat and potatoes of the podcast by going into our first section.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment where we talk about the movies that we saw in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, or in theaters, and we like to talk about them, and we would recommend it or we don't recommend it. But this week is not a movie that we watched in any of those formats. No. To celebrate our YouTube ventures, we watched this movie on YouTube, legally, by the way. This is actually not even a movie. It is actually a documentary called Raising Kratos. Now, this is a documentary about the making of God of War 2018. I have just beaten God of War of 2018 for a reason that you're going to find out in the near future. But yeah, so I just want to check out this documentary just to understand the game better. But yeah, it is called Raising Kratos. And Liz, why don't you open us up with your opening thoughts?
It was interesting because it wasn't really about the game per se.
Not the making
it was
of.
About the people behind it and like their emotions throughout the whole process from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, and you learned like interesting backstory things. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting documentary.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was very informative. It gave you a lot of context more than anything else. And like Liz said, you don't go into it expecting like the making of God of War. This really is, and the first note I have here is a lot of human context behind the human storytelling of God of War 2018. So if you haven't...
I just realized my headphones were on backwards. And I was like, why does it feel so uncomfortable? It's because they were on wrong.
There we go.
All better.
Fixed. So,
Sorry.
yeah, it's a lot of human context, and you get to more or less see the context with Cory Barlog. Now, God of War 2018 is like beyond, like it's such a different story than the original God of Wars, where he's like this angry God of War, and he goes out slaying and killing. Whereas in here, he's I don't want to even say like a caring and loving father, but he's trying to figure out who he is as a father.
Yeah, like it's a new role that he hasn't had to play yet.
Yeah. And the same thing with Cory Barlog. He starts to talk about how when he made the original God of Wars, he was, kind of distant from his family. The family wasn't really in his mindset, but now he's a father, now he's a husband, and now his priorities have changed.
Yeah.
And that's how he's telling the story of God of War. Now, while you were watching it, were you really feeling for Cory Barlog?
Not really. Like I mean, so I felt in the way of like the story matched where he was in life, and that's poetic.
Yeah.
But I didn't connect with him that much in the documentary.
Yeah. I didn't really connect with him more than I appreciated what he wanted to do.
Yeah, like I appreciated his work and his art in relaying his own life story in this game. But as far as like connecting with him on a personal level, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's the creator God of War. Good job.
Let's talk about the pressures of the studio of Santa Monica.
Yeah,
because in this documentary, again, you're seeing human context. You're seeing human context behind the game. You're not really seeing the making of, but you get to see the pressures of the studio of Sony Santa Monica, and leading up to and after E3, and expectations were set high for Cory Barlog, just because God of War has been it's been a symbol for PlayStation. It has been a theme of PlayStation. There's God of War, there's Uncharted, right? You have these like really dynamic characters in the PlayStation universe. So fans really care about this. And now he's like taking the IP of God of War into a whole different direction. And just the pressures behind being a father. So you get to see what kind of pressures these people go under to like make a new identity with themselves. Yeah. So did you at least feel for that?
Yeah. The pressures and everything, like they were all saying, like there were a couple of them that were becoming new parents during this process. And they said that they could even see the difference in Cory Barlog's personality making this game as compared to making the other games. Like, they saw that change in him at becoming a father and a husband. So it was definitely interesting to see how they handled their own family dynamics, because they said, like, you know, one woman had to go on maternity leave and having to figure that out, but they were all very understanding of, like, that's their family.
Right.
Like, they were very family first.
Yes.
In this.
They were very focused on the family. And that was like really made me appreciate the game even more, because all of them were newer parents and all of them were kind of feeling for parenthood. And that's what really drove into the game here. Now, my last note here is that, like our point before, don't go into this documentary thinking that this is going to be the making of God of War. This isn't going to be any technical factors or anything like that. You do see partially some struggles of creating it, but this is really Cory Barlog's story and the studio's story. You get to see kind of the context where Santa Monica had to lay off people and how it had to grow again, and how Cory didn't want to come back to God of War. The central theme of this is Cory Barlog's story, right? And to expect that this is going to be a making of, like I did, you kind of miss the point of it. It has, and it's more of a document, and this is my note, I forgot about this. It was a documentary about growing older and facing your humanity, because even Cory said that gamers since the first God of War, which I'm going to get this year wrong. I want to say 2002. But I know someone in the comment down below why I'm wrong. But I want to say 2002 or 2003 it came out. But since then, gamers have grown. Gamers have grown up. That's why we like to say grown-up gamers. We are the generation that grew up with games, and now we're growing up.
Yeah.
It's facing aging. It's facing your humanity, and it's facing how years have passed, and some of them have ignored family members.
Yeah.
So it's just about that. Now, one point you drove after we watched it, you said that it went on a little too long.
I do think that it went on. It was almost 2 hours.
It was an hour and 54 minutes.
Yeah. And I just feel like it could have been, they could have cut enough out that it could have been between an hour and a half.
Yeah, I agree with you. It did. Some things could have been cut.
Like, after an hour, I was like, oh my gosh, we still have an hour to go.
Yeah, because usually you watch documentaries and making of, and they're tops an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we watched this at like 10 at night. Like, I had just gotten home, and I was like, oh, why don't we watch it? And then we put it on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah. I just feel like there were things they could have cut out. Like, they had a lot of things that, like, scenes of them talking on the phone or just like talking to the camera, but they weren't really important things. Like, there were so many times during this documentary where I was actually bored, like, because there were times where they had things that I couldn't understand what they were even saying.
Yeah.
Like, especially when they were on the phone. Like, I feel like if I can't understand what they're saying, why is it in this?
Yeah.
So there were just some parts that I feel like could have been cut out or shortened. Like, some of it was unnecessary.
You were definitely a fan of Sonny Soldrick, though.
Oh my god, he was so cute.
He was tiny.
He was so little.
But you loved him.
He's an adorable kid.
Yeah. That's definitely a thing that got me. It was just it was a bit too long, and not in a way of like I was bored, but there was just things that like that could have been cut, that could have been condensed, much like this segment, Movie Minutes. But yeah, closing thoughts. We have like a couple minutes left. Any other closing thoughts about it? We're not really giving it a rating though.
Yeah, we're not rating it.
It's hard to rate a documentary.
Yeah. I mean, if you like God of War and you're very interested in that stuff, then you can check it out. But personally, for me, I mean, I like God of War. It still made me want to play it.
Right.
But I just don't feel like it's a necessary documentary to watch, per se.
Yeah, I mean, even if you...
Like, I would have been more interested in watching a creating
of God of War.
Yeah, and not, like, the whole personal stuff. Like, it's okay to have some personal things because that is part of making it. But I feel like it was almost too
too personal, and you want to see like more of the making of the struggles of the technology.
Like, because I feel like making it that personal, that's what made it boring. Because I was most interested in the parts where they were showing like making stuff.
My favorite making of documentary for a game is the making of Fallout 3. Mm-hmm. That was really awesome to watch. I don't know why, and I'm sure there's better ones out there, but I just remember watching the making of Fallout 3 and the research behind it, and when their studio flooded and what they had to research. I actually really, really enjoyed that documentary. But Raising Kratos is definitely a personal story of Cory Barlog and how he made it, like the journey of Cory Barlog.
Yeah.
So that's our thoughts on it. Again, it's on YouTube, so all of you can watch it. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will actually, here, info card right here. You can check out Raising Kratos. I'll just put it up in the info link right up here. So definitely check it out for yourself. I highly recommend it, especially if you've beaten God of War 2018 and if you're interested in more. However, if you had zero interest in God of War and you didn't really like it, I don't think this is going to win you over, but it's still a really interesting documentary to watch if you have 2 hours to spare.
Yeah.
So I think that brings us to our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rate it 3, 2, 1 in a condensed version so that you know what's going on in the gaming industry so that you're well informed about what you should buy and what you shouldn't buy. I made it seem like this is like a stock market podcast, but we promise this is just gaming news here. So, like I said, top 3 gaming news. Let's talk about the number 3 gaming news that we have on this. And it's about Tim Willits of id Software. Now, QuakeCon is coming up. I believe it starts July 25th, but QuakeCon's coming up, and Tim Willits just went on Twitter to say that he is actually going to be leaving id Software. Now, if you don't know who Tim Willits is, he is now the studio director of id Software. He's been in the company since 1995, so it's been 24 years in his career. And in his tweet, he says, after 24 years, I've decided to leave id Software. Now there's more. We'll put a screenshot right here so you can read it yourself. But again, this man joined id Software in 1995, and he was actually a level designer behind the first 3 Quake games.
Wow.
I can speak. But,
you got this.
But yeah, he was a level designer for the first 3 Quake games, and he was actually promoted to studio director back in 2012 after the successful Rage in 2011. Now, in Rage, he was the creative director, and after the big success of Rage, id Software said, "Can you come on as studio director?" Now, what makes this more interesting, I read that tweet and I just said, like, wow, he's just going to leave. Is he going to retire? That's such sad news because Tim is just like an amazing mindset. If you liked Rage 2, I never got around to playing Rage 2, but kind of got mixed reviews. But when people like it, people love Rage 2. Rage was pretty good. It was great. Okay, I'm sorry. But what makes this really exciting is that Willits has also stated that he will announce his next steps after QuakeCon ends in July 28th. So this is pretty exciting just because, oh man, I'm blanking on the name. I'm sorry, BioShock fans. I'm really sorry, including Good Game, Great Game. They're huge BioShock fans. But the lead director behind BioShock, when he left, Ken Levine. Thank you, Brain. When Ken Levine left his studio, he said, "Oh, my next step is to make my own indie studio called Ghost Story Games." And we haven't heard really anything what's going to be happening there. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Tim Willits is going to start his own studio, but we don't know that for sure. He just said that he's going to be announcing his next steps after QuakeCon ends. And I think that's a good decision.
Yeah, I mean, he's worked in the same company for 24 years, which not a lot of people can say anymore. And sometimes people are just like, you know what? I think I have enough education now that I could do this on my own.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited to see his next steps. I'm really excited to see where he goes, what he's going to do in life, and what kind of amazing, like, out of control games that we're going to see from Tim Willits. Hopefully new indie studio. So that would be really, really cool. But we won't know until after QuakeCon ends in July 28th, but you can count on that. We'll probably announce it in the top 3 gaming news because I'm just excited to where this is going to go.
Yeah.
So that's all we really have to say on it. That's why it's number 3, because we're going to go into number 2 gaming news because this is personal for Liz, because this is her own gaming studio. No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be interesting.
That would be. I would love to see that. But let's talk about the number 2 gaming news. This is about Sims 4, right? Now, if you haven't already, Liz has already posted her Let's Play of Sims 4 Island Living, which I will link up here. Here's the info link. Hopefully I'm pointing in the right direction because last time I did it, I wasn't pointing in the right place. But let's talk about this. Sims 4 gets a brand new patch, and along with a brand new expansion called Island Living. And with this brand new patch, why don't you just call it Sims 5 already?
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and talk about this new patch?
So they opened up a new patch for Sims 4, and it was supposed to solve some errors people were getting, but they also made a new icon. I think they changed the
new
plum
cover art.
Yeah, new cover art. They changed the plumb bob, like the design of it. They also have new loading screens. They added story mode. They added a new cheat code to get
new clothing. And
not new clothing.
Yeah.
The cheat code is for new design items that they use when they make the game, but aren't available to buy.
Right.
So they have that. And so they just have all these new things that does almost kind of make it feel like they're trying to skip doing Sims 5.
Yeah.
They did everything that you would do in a new generation of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was watching you play it. Again, info link was right there.
Yeah.
I was watching you play it, and I just couldn't help but think, why isn't this just called Sims 5? They're basically releasing Sims 5.
Yeah. I don't have the patch yet.
Right. Well, why don't you talk about that patch and the issues behind it?
Yeah. So I don't have the patch yet. They only released the patch on July 16th for PC, and then the console patch will be out, I think, in August, they said. But I saw articles about people complaining about the colors that they chose. So the plumb bob is always green, but they made it a little bit more brighter, more vibrant.
Right.
And then for the loading screens, they did this bright blue. It looks really nice. The two colors complement each other really well. But apparently it was giving people migraines, and it was kind of hurting people's eyes.
Yeah.
Which for me, I do suffer from migraines a lot, and my eyes are very, very sensitive. So I sat there and I imagined, and I was like, oh yeah, it looks really pretty. But then when I saw it was giving people migraines, I was like, I imagined it on our TV, and I was like, oh yeah, that would probably kill my eyes. So they changed it to navy blue. Yeah. And the bright green, and that'll come out on the patch next month.
Yeah. Now I relate to this.
Yeah.
I relate to this very well with now you're saying people see this and they just instantly get migraines. Now I relate to this personally because whenever people look at me, they instantly have a migraine.
I was like, where is he going with this? He doesn't get migraines, doesn't have eye issues.
Yeah, that's why we only stuck with podcasts. We only just started YouTube because, when people look at me that hurts.
You give me headaches.
Exactly. I'm like the Sims 4 patch.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, that was the biggest issue I think people were having. But there are also people complaining about the fix for the issue.
Really?
Yeah. I was scrolling through comments on the Twitter post, and people were like, why don't you just turn the brightness down on your TV and all this stuff? I'm just like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
When you have sensitive eyes, it's the color.
Yeah.
Or for me, certain colors and certain patterns make my eyes hurt.
Yeah.
I wear sunglasses when it's raining outside. It doesn't matter about the brightness always. It's sometimes the color. So, I like the navy blue. Navy blue is one of my favorite shades of blue.
Yeah.
But I still think the navy blue and the bright green complement each other. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But that was the big major issue people were having.
Yeah, it just struck me as strange, this whole new patch and just everything involved, right?
And then I saw some people didn't because they added the story mode, So when you enter create a sim, it asks you, hey, do you want to do story mode, and fill out a little questionnaire to get your sim started.
Yeah.
And there were people complaining that they had to press no every time they went on.
Every time they went on? That is kind of annoying, though.
But it's not because, when you go into create a sim, it's just when you start a new game.
Oh, when you start a new game.
Yeah,
it's not like every single time.
No, not if you go into change a sim once you're already playing.
Okay.
Now, you can add story mode, I think, I don't know. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's every time you start a new game, you have to answer, you have to either fill out the questionnaire if you want to do story mode, or you say no.
I thought you meant every time you edit your sim.
No. Anytime you start a new sim.
Okay. It's so stupid to complain about. All these things are just dumb things to complain about. Turn down your brightness, and that's so stupid.
Leave people with medical issues alone and take the 2 seconds to press no. It's not that big of a deal. Especially on PC, because like I said, the patch is only on PC.
Right.
So 2 seconds to move your mouse over and click no.
So
anyway, though,
with this whole patch, it just makes it very much known that Sims 5 is really not on EA's mind. What it says to me is that they're just looking to upgrade and patch the base game and keep selling these expansion passes, because the expansion pass for Island Living is $40. So basically, they released Sims 5 for $40.
Yes. Island Living isn't anything like Sims 5.
No, I'm just saying that it came out on the same day as the patch.
Yeah.
So it's almost like
getting a whole new game.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It just confuses me.
I feel like they probably still, Sims 5 is in the future, but I feel like they're trying to push it off as long as possible by coming up with new expansion packs.
Right.
Because there are people who are still asking for old expansion packs, for previous games, that it's when are we getting it for Sims 4?
Yeah.
So I think they're just trying to push off Sims 5.
I think they are.
By releasing patches and new expansion packs and stuff.
I thought the Elder Scrolls community had it bad. But
I just want Sims 5.
Yeah. Speaking of strange patches and releases, once again, number one gaming news, we're talking about Nintendo Switch again. Once again.
Yep.
We're getting a new Nintendo Switch. Sort of. It's got a better battery.
Same thing. New battery, new colors.
No. It's a standard Nintendo Switch. It's not the Switch Lite. It's just the standard Nintendo Switch.
I thought they got new Joy-Con colors, though.
Oh, they did get new. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Sorry. Skipping ahead.
It's coming out this August, and it's going to be released. It'll be releasing an improved Nintendo Switch with a better battery life that can last up to 9 hours. It says, I believe, 7 to 9 hours, if I'm saying that right, or 5.5, whatever. But it can go up to 9 hours, which previously it could only go up to 7 hours or 6 hours. I'm starting to get my facts straight. But the battery life is not coming from a brand new battery or any kind of cooling system. No, it's actually coming from an improved Tegra processor. So it's the processor, it's being improved, it's taking up less power, so therefore the battery life will last a little bit longer. And now this is going to actually be a silent improvement. They're not really announcing this to the public. They're not really advertising this, but because, there's leakers out there, right?
Yeah.
We found out ahead of time. And this is all just super... I don't understand anything what Nintendo's doing right now. Now, we're not really a Nintendo podcast.
Yeah.
So I can't really commentate too much. But what's just strange about this is that they released the Switch Lite, and we discussed this last week on Number One Gaming News, where we're just like, I'm not sure why they're releasing this. I'm not sure what the purpose of this is.
Yeah.
And then you just say oh, well, it's got a better battery life. And then it come out, oh, well, the standard Switch with way more features and a kickstand will now have more battery life than a Switch Lite. And now you're just thinking, then what's the point of the Switch Lite then?
Yeah, I just want to ask, so does the Switch Lite have this new processor in it?
Nope. It will last 7 hours, and now the regular Switch will last 9 hours. And you just have to think...
What's going on over there?
Yeah. And now data miners have also found out that there might be a Switch Pro coming out by the end of this year. So if they do release that, so if they release the Switch Lite which is just portable with no kickstand, even though you can connect Joy-Cons to it. So there's no kickstand and you can't, charge the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
And then you got your standard improved Switch with a better battery life than the Switch Lite. And then you're going to come out with a Switch Pro, which we have no idea what the speculations behind that is or the technical, the specs are speculations. I should have had coffee before this. But what the specs are. So it's just kind of like, I don't know what they're doing with this Nintendo Switch, right?
Yeah.
And like what you said, now they're coming out with new Joy-Con colors, which I'm not a huge fan of the Joys.
I don't mind them.
Yeah, like it's like a neon yellow with a navy blue or a dark blue, and then it's a royal purple with a bright orange, and just kind of like
they're fun.
They're fun.
That's all.
Now, speaking about Joy-Cons, though, we'll put this into number one gaming news because this just came out as we were recording. But there's now a class action lawsuit against Nintendo.
Yeah.
There's a class action against Nintendo for the drifting Joy-Cons. And I just don't know what's going on.
They're losing it.
Yeah, because if you didn't know, because we don't own a Switch either, but if you wear down your little Joy-Cons, like the little joysticks, right, then sometimes the Joy-Cons will drift. And so without you even touching it, it will sense that you want to go left or right because of the Joy-Con drift, right? I can't even say if this is the right time to buy a Nintendo Switch. Like it's just such a weird time to be thinking about buying a Switch because I almost did. Like I was like, okay, you know what? I'll buy the regular Switch because it has more features than the Lite, so I'll buy a Switch. And now, like, I want to wait a little bit more so I make sure that I get this 9-hour battery life. And now I don't even know because of this Pro version coming out. And then you got this class action lawsuit coming out. And then the Switch Lite over here, he's just like, so does anybody want me? Anybody want little old Switch Lite over here? And
yeah,
I don't know. It's just like, this is the weirdest few weeks for a Nintendo Switch.
Someone's losing it over there.
Yeah. If you are a Nintendo fan, write down in the comments below. I really, really do want to hear what your opinion is. Like I said, I'm not really a Nintendo guy, even though I was actually with our background over here, I was actually thinking about putting the Nintendo GameCube as part of our background, but maybe I shouldn't. It's like, because every time I say, I'm not really a Nintendo boy, like, what's that GameCube doing there?
Well, that's mine.
Well, that's yours.
But all of our Nintendo systems are mine. We have the N64.
Oh, yeah.
But they're both mine.
Yeah, they're both. But yeah, if you're a Nintendo fan, tell us what you think about this whole Nintendo Switch debacle. I'm going to call it debacle because lawsuits and a silent improvement and a Switch Pro and poor little old Switch Lite over here.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to make of it, honestly. So it's just really interesting to talk about. That's why we put it into number one gaming news. Any closing thoughts on it?
Nope.
No.
There's not much to say about it.
There really isn't. It's just such a weird situation. If you're thinking about, like myself, who was thinking about buying a Nintendo Switch so I can play Skyrim on the go.
Like I even said, I'm like, I was going to get you one for Christmas.
And now it's just
and now I think I'll wait on those plans.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
So it really is just, let's see what happens with this.
I'll come up with some secondary ideas for Christmas.
Yeah. All right. Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into our final segment.
Talkie time.
So every single week we have this here talkie time. And we just like to commentate and just have a nice little sit-down discussion, coffee table situation, except you have soda, not coffee, and I have tea, not coffee. But we just like to discuss some questions or some topics going on in the gaming industry. And right now, what was on our minds is about these game subscription services.
Yeah.
Right? Especially since the news a couple weeks ago, not just gaming services, but we'll even talk about movie subscription services.
Or TV subscription services, too.
Exactly. Because we also do the movie minutes from Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, or in theaters. But we generally like to do movies from, I guess we're starting a conversation now. But But we generally like to do the movie subscriptions for Movie Minutes just because it's more accessible for people.
Yeah.
To follow along. Like if you have Netflix, cool. You can watch this movie right now. If you have Hulu, blah, blah, blah. Now, before we get our conversation really rolling, I just want to talk a little bit about Game Pass. Sponsored by... No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be fabulous.
Sponsored by Game Pass. But yeah, I just want to talk about my review. Not really my review, but my thoughts on Game Pass, because if you listen to the podcast a while back, they had this huge sale going on where for $1, you're already existing. I think it's still going on, actually. For $1, if you already have gold, then it will turn your gold into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So until December 2020, which is nuts to think about.
Yeah.
December 2020, I have Game Pass Ultimate. I really, really, really like Game Pass. I still remember when it first came out, and we were still living in Pennsylvania at the time.
Oh, Pennsylvania.
I think, yeah, we were still living in Pennsylvania. And I was looking through the catalog, and I had that free trial because they were trying to sell it to people. And I was like, it's okay.
They didn't have anything really worth it on there yet.
Yeah. Not just worth it, but I already played most of the games that were already on it.
I remember what was on there. It wasn't really worth it for us to have it at the time.
No, and I was just like, it's fine. It's a subscription for service. If people, and that's the thing. When I saw it, I was like, for people who never had an Xbox and they don't want to buy a ton of games when they buy their Xbox One S, it's great value. It's fine. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
Now, when I got that sale for $1 and it turns my gold, I was like, I'd be stupid not to do it.
Yeah.
And then I finally got Game Pass, and wow, it improved since it first released.
Well, yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah, it's been a couple years, yeah. And that's the thing. I think Game Pass as a subscription service is totally worth it. And I feel like if you are an Xbox person right now, if you have an Xbox, I'm saying right now, I think Game Pass is so worth it because you save so much money in the long run. Because not only are you getting tons of games that you could be playing, like I go through and like, oh, I'm playing this, I'm playing that. I'm actually playing right now for the first time. Like I've already watched it, but I'm playing for the first time the Walking Dead games from Telltale.
Yeah.
Because they're on Game Pass. Not even that, but new games released, right? If you watched our E3 episodes, Xbox showed 60 games during their E3 press conference.
Almost all of them were for Game Pass. Like we said, it was
More
a
than
Game
half.
Pass commercial.
Yeah, it was 34 games that are coming to Game Pass, including Gears 5, The Outer Worlds, which I'm definitely excited for. You're going to see a Let's Play of Outer Worlds on the channel. But my thoughts are, I'm absolutely love this, and it's part of the game subscription service.
Yeah.
Now, did you get a chance to see the Game Pass titles? Are there any games that you're just like, oh yeah, I want to play that?
I don't think I got to see any really.
Because you're mostly on PlayStation.
Well, I'm mostly on PlayStation, and usually when you're looking through them, I'm at work.
Yeah. But yeah, I wish PlayStation had something like this.
That would be awesome because I would love to play more games on PlayStation. And when I go through the store, I'm like, oh, that looks good. Adam's like, yeah, that was a trash game. I was like,
yeah.
Like all the games I'm attracted to, he's like, no, that was terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Like, I just want to play something.
Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. But that's the thing with Game Pass. There's games on there that I heard were trash, but then I'm like, okay, it's already included.
You basically have it for free. You might as well
just try it out.
Yeah.
And I get to try out games now. Most of the games I find out, okay, they actually are trash, but I didn't sink any more money into it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think game subscription services are great. Now let's talk about why we don't enjoy them so much. Now, things leave too often. Right. Whenever I go on the Game Pass app, there's actually on the Game Pass app, I might show it on camera here, but they actually have this really helpful tab called Leaving Soon. And you get to see like, okay, if you haven't played this game yet, you might as well play it. And I remember when I first got on it, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was on Game Pass. I was like, whoa. But then I went on the app, and as soon as I got it, As soon as I got it, it said leaving soon. I was like, oh, come on. I have it on PC, but it always crashes. But yeah, why don't you talk about like things leave too often? Like, do you think things leave too often on Netflix or Hulu? Have you ever experienced that?
Things leave too often on those. It just seems.
Oh, man.
Certain movies, like when the rest of.
Let me just interrupt you for a second.
Okay.
So on camera, there's a leaving soon tab right here, and part of it, the Hitman first season is leaving soon. Oh man, that's terrible. I wanted to play that, but that's what I mean. Like it leaves too soon, and with Hitman, there's multiple episodes that I need to play before it leaves, and it doesn't tell you when it's going to leave. Mm-hmm. But you were saying, I'm sorry.
That's okay. But things like that, yeah, it's like they leave not too soon. It just seems that, especially lately, things are leaving randomly. Like they said, The Office is leaving Netflix.
Yeah, in 2020, which is or 2021, I think.
Yeah.
But it's so weird to think that The Office isn't going to be on Netflix.
Yeah. And that's because, like there's like stations, like TV stations are having their own subscription service. Yeah. And that's what kind of got us on the subject. We're just like, it seems like we're going to end up just having to pay for each station. Like, all right, we have a subscription service to CBS, a subscription service to ABC. Like, you're going to have to have a subscription to every channel on TV. And it's just like, it just seems strange. Like, can you imagine a world where like there's no just flipping through the channels or going down the guide to look for what's on? You have to open up every app and see, and it's a strange thing to think about.
It's a headache.
But yeah, especially for like things like Game Pass, to have things going in and out that long, like games are an investment.
Yeah.
You know, like
a time investment, yeah.
Especially like, so for people to be playing a game and then it'd be like, all right, now we're leaving. It's like, I didn't get a chance to get to that, or I didn't get the chance to finish it. Yeah. Like things like that is, that's the one concern when it comes to the subscriptions. Like it's a good idea, but to have things come and go all the time. Cause like I noticed I've been watching Revenge or rewatching Revenge on Hulu. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and our Hulu subscription has commercials. I was like, oh, well, I used to watch it on Netflix, so maybe I'll just go watch on Netflix. But it turned out they left Netflix and moved to Hulu. Like it was like a switch kind of thing. Yeah. So it's just, those things are a little frustrating.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just kind of frustrating that it's leaving, and like you said, to different kind of stations, right? Mm-hmm. Now, talking about games again, talking about game subscription services, I was like thinking in my head, like, you know what? I don't want to buy Mass Effect Andromeda. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, is Mass Effect on? I think Mass Effect is on Game Pass. Okay, so there's still hope. Yeah. Because I was thinking in my head, like, oh, I'll just play it once it comes on Game Pass. But then I thought, wait a second, EA has their own subscription service called EA Pass, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah, EA Pass or something like that. They have their own subscription service, and it's coming on PlayStation soon. But that makes me think, well, no, because EA has their own service, I don't think they're going to put Andromeda on Game Pass service, because they're going to just keep that to themselves. Yeah. But it's such a trash game. I don't know why they wouldn't just get people on it already. But that's the thing. It's just like, okay, that's not going to come on. This isn't going to come on. Now, Ubisoft is coming out with their own subscription service. Yeah. And it's just like, oh my goodness. Is every single game company going to come out with their own subscription service?
Yeah. And to kind of backtrack a little bit to the like coming and going, like games leaving, I feel like it would be a little better if you have a subscription service like Game Pass to have each game have its schedule. Like if you know this game isn't going to be on here forever, give it an end date. Like, all right, we have like, let people know. Yeah. We have a contract for this game for 3 months. You have 3 months to play this game. And if it ends up getting extended, then it gets extended, and that's great. Yeah. But I feel like you should be open and honest. Like, we have a contract for this many months, and let people know how long it's going to be on there, so they can stop a game that's going to be on there for 6 months and change the game that's only going to be on there for 3 months. Yeah. You know, so that they can play that and then finish the other one later.
Yeah, I have that in my notes. Like, this needs to be regulated in some way. And I wrote down, like, not like a heavy regulation. I don't think, like, the government needs to be involved with this. The man doesn't need to be involved. But it doesn't need, like, a heavy regulation. But exactly what you said. I like that idea where just be open, like, hey, this is on Game Pass now. For how long? And don't worry about it.
Who knows? They know how long they're allowed to have it on there for. Like I said, even if it changes, that's okay. Even if it gets shorter for some crazy reason,
right?
That's fine. Release a little news update. Be like, hey, this is actually shorter, and then change the listing. Like, whatever, going to be on here for 2 weeks instead of 2 months.
Now, what's nice is that you know that the Xbox exclusives, like the studios that they bought, will always be on Game Pass.
Yeah.
But then you also think about Ubisoft and EA. I didn't really get into EA's subscription service, but I hope no games leave from the Ubisoft or the Ubisoft. I get it mixed up.
Whichever
one. Like, is Bethesda going to come out with their own? Because that would be dope. No, I wouldn't subscribe to it, and that's the thing. And that's
I don't think Bethesda could handle that right now. I would not subscribe to that.
Can you imagine out of this whole backlash?
And then they're like, we're going to set up a subscription service. Oh my gosh, people would just tear them to pieces.
They would lose it. I would lose it.
I would lose it. I would love to report on that.
Yeah. Because that's
so fun. That like gets me pumped a little bit.
Because that's just the thing. It's just like when you subscribe to these subscription services, right? You don't know if they're coming or they're going, and you just hope that they stay on the platform long enough for you to enjoy it. Because the other thing about Game Pass for me personally, it's just like my backlog got just that much bigger just because of Game Pass. It's just like, oh, I gotta play all these games, and you don't know which one you should prioritize. Like right now, I just found out right on the podcast here that Hitman, the first season, is leaving. But I also want to play, I still want to play all of the Walking Deads, and I don't want to rush to play a game. You know, I want to know, like, okay, that's available to me. I will get to that once I play these games. And now Hitman is coming, now Hitman's going. I'm assuming it's going to leave in August. I'm assuming that all the things that are like saying they're leaving soon.
But who knows?
Who knows? And that's the
But just to say that at least they tell you when things are leaving soon.
Yeah.
Netflix just be like, okay, bye. Like, unless if it's a big show like The Office, they gave us like a year advance.
Yeah.
But like the random shows, it's like, okay, we're done. Bye. Like, and they just take it off 1 month. Like, you get those lists, those articles like, oh, things leaving in July. Yeah. But like, you don't get that ahead of time from Netflix. So, I mean, at least you have that.
At least I do have that. I do like that about the Game Pass. If you're on Game Pass, definitely download the Game Pass app just because of that leaving soon. I don't think I saw it on the website for GamePass.com. Maybe I'm wrong. But the Game Pass app, I just have it and just see like, okay, which game should I be prioritizing? And right now it's going to be Hitman, the first season. I don't know if I'll have time to get to that, actually. We'll see. We'll see. But that's the other thing. Now let's talk about, I have a note right here to say that talking about Ubisoft, come on, Adam, Ubisoft, EA, and soon to be Bethesda. I'm just going to say that you heard it here first.
Goodness.
Heard it here first.
That's not news. We don't know that. Adam's just speculating.
Instead of all these different developers getting their own, what if only the consoles and the PCs have their subscription services? What if it was only Game Pass and then PlayStation came out with their own, Nintendo came out with their own, and then Epic Games Stores came out with their own?
Let's not talk about Epic Games Store.
That would be wicked. That'd be crazy. What if Epic Games Store had their own subscription service like that? It wouldn't surprise me.
No.
Stadia.
It would surprise me.
Stadia will be it. Because Stadia is $9.99 per month, and you get to access their library. So Stadia is the subscription service.
That's true.
Yeah, but if Epic came out with their own, you were saying
that would surprise me though, because they're so set on just teaching.
Teaching Steam a lesson.
That if they actually ventured out of that to make an actual business concept, that would shock me.
That would. It would be such a weird situation. But I thought of that though, like, because like I said, like I'm playing Game Pass, and I'm like, I wish PlayStation had something like this. I wish PlayStation had like a subscription service where you could play, PlayStation exclusives. Because like talk about exclusives on the PlayStation. What if you had a subscription service to play Last of Us, God of War, Spider-Man?
That would be great.
Yeah, and just like all right there. just for God of War, Spider-Man, Last of Us, Last of Us 2 would come on. I would pay $15 a month for that subscription service.
Yeah.
I totally would. But what if like only the platforms that they're on instead of the different developers? Because at least it's organized. Because developers are now coming out and they're just riding this wave of like, oh, well, subscription services work for them. Oh, cool. So we'll have our own. It's kind of like when Netflix first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hulu started to get their own, and Amazon Prime has their.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you already have Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime Video, so.
Yeah.
But
Amazon Prime Video wasn't a huge thing.
No.
When Netflix first came out, like it didn't have good things on it.
Right.
Like Amazon Prime Video didn't have the best shows or movies. It was like kind of like things that's like, why is this on here?
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing. Like, I think these subscription services are like fantastic for consumers, right? It's just that when like more and more people try to ride the wave and it gets clouded, then it becomes confusing for consumers, right? Like, I don't know if I have to subscribe to Netflix. Actually, in my mind, talking about Netflix, in my mind, I'm like, do I really want to pay for this? Like, we just finished Stranger Things 3. Now, no spoilers here. Do not click off. But we just finished Stranger Things 3, and I'm just like, I finished it. I'm like, is Netflix really worth it?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I know a lot of people are actually leaving Netflix now that The Office just said like, oh, we're not going to have The Office. Bye.
Yeah.
I actually discussed it on Twitter, like when the announcement first came out. And I was just saying, like, I don't think this is going to be good for NBC. Like, NBC thinks that, oh, if we take The Office back and put it on our platform, then people will come rushing to us.
Like, maybe you just need better shows on your channel.
Yeah. Like, why don't you just have The Office on both Netflix and NBC, but then you add really crazy good value on yours? People will come running to you. But if you just hog The Office, people are going to leave Netflix and they're not going to come to NBC.
Yeah. They'll just go out and buy the series on DVD.
Yeah, which we do. Like,
yeah.
But that's just it. It's just kind of weird. It's not really good when a lot of companies kind of ride this wave of the subscription service, because like I said, it doesn't really give them a good light, right? So what if what's a lot of games that are on there? I think there's not a lot of Ubisoft titles on Game Pass. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But what if like all of these companies just came out, all these developers came out and they made their own subscription service, and they're doing it like The Office, like saying, oh, you can't have that on Game Pass. It's now only on ours.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, that's great. And then all the companies just pulling their games and they put it on their own subscription service. And then Game Pass doesn't have a lot of value. Ubisoft doesn't have Ubisoft. Get in the game, Adam. Ubisoft doesn't have a lot of value. Bethesda doesn't have a lot of value. EA, and it becomes a sea of things, and not a lot of them will have a lot of value just because not every single one of them has the games you want, right? It should be just a collective. Yeah,
and I just feel like if things were to go that way, where every TV station has their own subscription and every game developer has their own subscription, they're gonna have to. The prices are gonna have to be ridiculously low, because otherwise people won't be able to afford everything.
Yeah,
like it's gonna cost as much as having Game Pass, or as much as having a cable provider. Like, I just don't understand why can't we all just love each other and work together?
I'm looking up now, like I believe Ubisoft's subscription service is going to be $15 a month. $15 a month
for a developer.
For a developer. Yeah, I just looked it up. $15 a month. That's so stupid. It's coming out September 3rd.
This year?
This year.
My goodness.
Whereas EA is $5 a month.
Yeah.
$5 a month, right?
Like, right now, you can still get away with it because not everyone's doing it. But I'm saying if every single person did that, and that's what our lives came to, the prices would have to be like $2 a month.
That's so stupid. I just remember that as we were recording this podcast. Now, I'm looking at EA, And there's not, and I think EA knows there's not a lot of value because I remember I went on their subscription service, like I had that month trial to try out Mass Effect Andromeda, and I played the first 10 hours or something like that. And they just really had the sports games. They had Unravel. There's Yarny right over there. They had Unravel. They had some good games, but not enough for me to go. But for $5 a month, or you can pay $30 for the whole year. That's really good.
Yeah,
that's awesome. You get the whole year. Wait, is that right? Trying to think if that's right. Oh yeah, that's good value. That's really good value.
Yeah.
Like I was doing math in my head. Yeah, so EA, that's good value, but for Ubisoft to go with $15 and it's, oops, sorry, I clipped. And it's going to be on Stadia. It's going to be on Stadia, which is already $10 a month. And I remember watching E3, and when they announced it, that our $15 a month subscription service is going to be on a $10 a month subscription.
So really, it's $25 a month.
$25 a month to access Ubisoft games on PC.
That's crazy.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. No one is going to do that, right? Hopefully, maybe not. They probably will.
Please don't.
But yeah, it's just all very confusing. But I just want to end on, I want to just close this off by saying that I agree with game subscription services. Now, I would love to get another developer on the podcast and just talk about, especially one who has been on Game Pass. Maybe I'll get in contact with somebody. What's up, Nick DiPaolo? We're gonna get him back on. Yeah, he was such a good guest, man. I love Nick DiPaolo's episode.
Yeah.
Info card right here. But yeah, so I want to get on another developer and get on their perspective. How does Game Pass better their company, or if it doesn't get better? But for the consumer, Game Pass is fantastic. I think if PlayStation, Nintendo had their own version of Game Pass, it's fantastic for the consumer. I absolutely love Game Pass, and when it ends in December, I'm gonna re-up it. Honestly, because it's just such good value and it saves me money in the long run. But it's just a matter of when developers start to ride the wave and they get really greedy with it.
Yeah.
Right. I'll have to show you the Game Pass list and see if there's any games. Because that's the thing. It's good for the consumer because it does introduce you to new game titles. Right. And that's the other thing. It's really introducing you to new game genres. It's introducing you to new stuff that you can be looking at right now. So, but I think we'll end that discussion right there. So please write down in the comments. Please go ahead, write down in the comments down below. If you enjoy these subscription services, if you enjoy the idea of Stadia, right? Talk about what you think about subscription services, as well as in the comments down below in YouTube. Talk about anything you want about this podcast. Like we said in the beginning, let's have a discussion. That's what this podcast is all about. Starting discussions, not debates. I was about to say debates.
Please don't start debates.
But it really is just starting a conversation with everybody. So, any other closing thoughts?
No, I think we covered everything.
Okay, cool. I don't know why I said that.
I got nothing to offer.
So since you made it to this part of the podcast, since you made it to the end, I just want to make an announcement that next week's guest, so you made it this far, since you're a fan of the podcast, next week's guest is going to be Mr. Matty Plays. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to Mr. Matty Plays. I've been enjoying his content for years now, since 2016 probably.
Yeah.
Fantastic commentator on Bethesda. Now he's doing all sorts of different games. He just did a video on the Witcher 3, not Witcher 3, the Witcher Netflix series trailer. So definitely go subscribe to him there. And he's going to be on the podcast next week. And the topic will be about the apolitical gamer. Now, me and Liz identify with apolitical, meaning that we're not really on right or left. We're just kind of, we play video games. That's what we do. And same thing with Mr. Matty Plays. He's apolitical. So we're going to have a discussion about how politics come into games and how I don't know what we're going to talk about, but
we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. And I also have some interview questions lined up for him. So if you want to get to know Mr. Manny Plays a little bit better, I have some interview questions for him as well. So stay tuned for that. And what's the best way you can find out when that episode comes out? Oh, subscribe down below and ring that notification bell, because when you ring that notification bell, that way you're informed of every single time we upload an episode of the podcast. So definitely subscribe and ring that bell. If you like this video, honestly, definitely hit that like button. It helps us out a lot, because as soon as you hit that like button, it tells YouTube, oh, people enjoy this. So they'll spread out more, as well as comment down below of all your thoughts. And if you're listening to us on audio version, you can rate and review us so that more listeners can find us on iTunes. So give us your honest star ratings and give us your honest reviews. And if you would like me to read your review on the podcast, just contact me at contact@gamesandgroceries.com and say, Adam, can you read the review in this voice? Or any voice you want. I can also do Kevin from The Office if you want me to. Someone's going to challenge me now.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
And again, you can follow us on social media, Twitter @Gaming Groceries, or you follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
So follow us individually on Twitter and be friends with us there. As well as follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word. And you can look at our website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all of the podcast episodes, find out where you can listen to the audio version of the podcast, as well as read the articles that I've written in the past. And I promise you, I will get back to it in the fall. Any other closing announcements?
Nope.
So definitely subscribe to the channel, because we have a lot more content on here now. We have commentary videos, we have Let's Plays. We got a lot of plans for the content that you're going to get from the YouTube channel. So definitely stay tuned, and
we're going to go get coffee.
Yeah. So cheers to you. Have a good week.
Bye.